Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me join the discussion. It is a very important time for this visit. I think everyone can take confidence that the invitation was issued, that there are administration officials as well as private sector ready to meet and engage with the leadership of the Kurdistan region. It's a challenge right now looking at US policy. What we have seen from 4 months of President Trump's administration is that things can change on a dime, on a dime. And so the signing of this economic agreement is one that could prove to be extremely impactful in the way that people are counting on the agreement with Ukraine for rare earth mineral exploration to tie the two countries together. This deal, with that, over $100 billion over the lifetime of the agreement, is one that is deeply significant. We have had a long, if not completely steady, but long and positive relationship, not only with Kurdistan, but of course, Kurdistan is part of Iraq overall. And the United States has valued the partnership. Certainly, the fact that we have bases, soldiers working together, hoping to improve security in the region, to help sustain stability in the region. And in this partnership, this is just another step in that building and strengthening of the partnership. But it will bear watching because this administration is very changeable. Well, there's certainly a specific relationship, overseeing the signing of a deal that is specifically in the Kurdistan region, as opposed to in Baghdad itself, does send a signal. But the reality is that the United States is a strong supporter of the unity of Iraq, territorial unity, a strong position for minorities within Iraq, especially, of course, Kurds. And we see that President Trump is interested in ensuring that the United States certainly is not drawn deeply into conflicts in the region. He's not been entirely successful, as we see with the Gaza Strip, but that is his aim. So, what can be done with our relationship with the KRG, as well as the government of Iraq, that supports stability and unity, is going to be looked on favorably by President Trump and his administration. Yes. Well, obviously, the KRG holds a very important physical position, watching over the relationship with Turkey, with Syria, as well as, of course, the central government in Iraq. This is something that the United States values very much. As I said, the stability is very important to the United States. The partnership has been fruitful, has been strong. I don't see that ending anytime soon. But as I said, you have to keep in mind we are dealing with President Trump at this time rather than President Biden or President Obama. So the role that the Kurdish government can play with regard to maintaining the stability is one that's going to be very important and watched carefully and closely by the United States. But the relationship has been very, very good. I don't see any changes to that. But of course, it is a mercurial region. We see what happened in Syria. We have to keep our eye. There is a long-term desire from the United States to regularize the relationship with Iraq, to bring the military home as best as possible. President Trump has made that clear. And that, of course, will also depend on the partnership with forces and the governments in the region and the ability to maintain that stability. So again, I hate to keep coming back to President Trump is mercurial, but that is the reality. Yeah, well, I concur completely. The role of the Peshmerga forces and the Kurdish forces writ large was very important, and the United States very much appreciated that partnership, uh, appreciated and admired the ability to protect and push back ISIS forces. That is without a doubt, and so the United States is well aware of the capabilities that these forces and the benefit from this partnership. But as we know, the entire region is shifting, is changing. We have to see what happens in Syria. We've heard the new government say that they intend to eschew terrorism, that they intend to rather respect minorities in Syria. So the eyes of the world are watching. You see that President Trump surprised everyone by announcing the lifting of sanctions. Again, this ability to switch, on a dime almost in response to what is going on in the region. But the partnership with Kurdish forces is one that has been held in high esteem. There will be many, advocating for the continued strength of this partnership, the importance of it, and we will see how it goes. Well, I believe that the United States will be asking itself, our leadership, about that role, but how it works as part of a larger unified Iraq. I mean, that is the position of the United States. Now, the ability to continue to keep things calm, to keep borders as calm and safe as possible. In the end, I think hopefully, every leader in the region is looking for a stable, safe place for citizens to, conduct their daily lives, to be safe, to become prosperous. Of course, the many assets that are in Kurdistan, this deal with regard to gas and oil exploration is very important. It's long term. It's with U.S. companies, and that does signal, and certainly they would have been working very closely with the United States, making sure that they felt safe to develop, to partner for the long term that is in place here. That is a strong signal of the weight and importance that the United States gives to the region, to this partnership as part of a greater Iraq, and that there is confidence that it's going to continue. That is what the signal for this and other deals that might come up during the course of the prime minister's visit, the president's visit. So we'll see how that goes as well. Well, I think a very strong signal has been sent with the signing of this deal. We all know that's exactly the sort of thing that makes President Trump very happy. He's looking for economic partnerships in the region in particular, obviously around the world. But this is another one that he's going to chalk up to the United States' ability to strengthen ties in the region. Certainly, there will be discussions about Syria, there will be discussions about Iran as your guest said, as President Trump continues the negotiations and trying to come to an agreement with Iran, again, to further stabilize the region. That is what everybody wants, to lower tensions. And so the Kurdish view of how this all looks, their role in as every other entity in the region to help stabilize and support these sorts of agreements are going to be on the table. Well, I believe that the United States has been consistent in its communications with the government of Iraq that it is important to resolve this issue. I won't say that the pressure has been overwhelming or strong because it hasn't been done yet, but it absolutely is the desire. As your guest said, this is something that harms the Kurdish region as well as the central government of Iraq. It has an economic cost and impact that we believe should be resolved. So the message has been clear. The discussions are ongoing. How effective or what weight they may have in the government's deliberations and decision making in the end, it's difficult to say because there are many strong and important reasons to resolve this. As your guest said, this is costly. So I again, I won't say that we have been overly pressured, but certainly our position is it should be resolved in the positive way that can get assets moving again directly from Kurdistan, via Turkey. Yeah. Well, the deal that's being signed this weekend shows very clearly the potential. And it's one that, important US companies in the United States, with the support of the US government, believe very firmly in. So the potential is extraordinary. It can make a real difference in as far as assets are concerned, the economic impact on Kurdistan, on this partnership, on the market in general. The potential is huge. So the United States is very interested in supporting and continuing this kind of partnership. Well, your other guests may have more to say on this. I mean, any region, state that has a strong economy, that has assets, and we have only to look at the state of California, certainly part of the United States, but California in and of itself, I believe, is the fifth largest economy in the world, and that is one state. So the benefits that come to the state, that accrue to the state, as well as to the United States, are substantial. There are trade deals to be done very directly. I know as a former diplomat, occasionally I would be meeting with government officials in capitals in the Middle East as well as beyond, and come across California officials or New York, which is also a huge economy, a big state with international ties. And so this is something that clearly can benefit Iraq in general and Kurdistan, Kurdish areas, KRG areas specifically. Yes, yes. I believe that is indeed possible and part of the plan. I mean, the relationship with the government of Iraq has steadily been going on the path to being regularized, a normal bilateral relationship. And I think that's what both sides want, and it will get there. Uh, excuse me, within that relationship, of course, is the relationship with the KRG. And because it has so much support within the United States government from both parties, as you know, there's a great deal of admiration. That too will be navigated. Uh, what will make the difference, of course, for this administration is the steadiness, the stability, the diminishing need for US military, for US arms, but moving toward a commercial, diplomatic, regularized relationship. Well, I think they are very strong. Certainly, they were with the previous administration. That interest in a strong economic commercial relationship did not begin with President Trump. He's putting more emphasis on it, perhaps, than the previous administration, but it has always been one of the pillars of that relationship. So I believe that it has been important. It will continue to be. It may be raised more in this administration than previous ones. But again, it's all of a piece with the region as a whole. The efforts to stabilize the region, to lower conflict within the region, certainly with regard to Iran, Syria, etc. And so the role of the KRG is extremely important, and the United States does indeed recognize it. Hence, the invitation, the high level of meetings that the Prime Minister is getting, this agreement being signed. Keep a close eye on it as it goes. Well, that is a very important signal. And we didn't hear from President Trump or from the State Department that that was one that was going to be closed, and that's important. Even those that, uh, and of course, consulates, not so much embassies, but consulates get reviewed almost on an annual basis with regard to the size, whether the personnel is at the appropriate level, etc. So opening this large building, this large diplomatic establishment, is a clear signal of the status of the relationship, the value that has been placed on it for the economic investment that it takes to open up a U.S. diplomatic building. And let me tell you, it costs a great deal. So with the opening, I think that is a strong signal of long and healthy relationship to come. That's certainly a part of it. Yes, yes. Everything that we've seen to date, the as I said, the economic relationship, the ongoing contacts, the opening of the consulate, all of these are strong signals in one direction. But again, keeping in mind that the priority for President Trump is stable, low attention needing. I mean, the negotiations, discussions are ongoing, but he does not want to have to send additional U.S. forces anywhere, and anything that can be done to lower the footprint, the need for the footprint of the United States, is going to be warmly welcomed by this administration.